First, I want to say thank you so much for Dr. Simonson and downloading that beautiful information you gave him.
Yeah.
I was there, and as I listened to the Genesis, it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything that you said today was just right on time. So, step 1, step 5, I was in a step 5 moment, and I was recognizing, oh, wait a minute, this is a step 5 moment. I don't have to get all caught up in this. And then I found myself jump over to step 1 because I kind of lost it, and I allowed it to take over my emotions. And
well, don't psychoanalyze that, and don't explain it, and don't try to justify it. When you say, I'm not as good at step 5 as I want to be, but the reason I was in step 1 was this reason and this reason and this reason, we say blah 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 blah. That's not helpful. So say it in a way that's helpful. I like to determine, I like to be aware of whether I'm in a step 5 or a step 1 moment, and both are okay. I just prefer step 5.
I do. And that's exactly what I felt like.
Yeah.
I prefer step 5 and the fact that I recognize it, and then I could choose my thought. And what I'm trying to get better at is recognizing the difference between.
But hear this, hear the difference. When you're in a step 5 moment, that means you're already tuned in, tapped in, turned on, because you practiced the receiving mode in step 3 and step 4. Now you've got the momentum going. So you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And now what you're receiving is the perspective that your inner being is having about the very contrast that you are now witnessing. And your inner being, first of all, adores the contrast. Next of all, realizes the value of it. There's no resistance then. It feels good. This is how contrast feels good. Can you imagine you're a painter and you've got your palette of paint and they're all lined up on the palette, and here's your canvas over here, and there's all this variety, and you say, oh, no, 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 no. I do not want all this contrast. I choose one color. Well, what a limiting painting that's going to be. That's not going to be a satisfying painting at all. Contrast is variety. Resistance is something else altogether. And step 1 moments often are those resistant moments where you make some of the contrast unwanted and push against it. And so instead of it going away, it just comes more. Where a step 5 moment is realizing that there's contrast and you can choose from it the colors of the palette that you want.
And I guess where I'm getting confused at is I'm seeing that I can choose, right? But I guess I'm getting in the way with when I'm choosing, like, wait a minute.
Well, a lot of you are too much in your head, and part of that is because as you come into this teaching and you want to be a deliberate creator, we've talked about so many things and you're trying to do them all at once. What we really want you to do is to realize that you took care of it in step 1 and we took care of it in step 2, and now it's time for you to just chill and find out what you can let in, and stop trying to justify the good that's coming to you through the behavior that you're offering. And most of all, stop paying attention to what anybody else thinks about what you're doing.
Okay. Step 1, contrast caused me to put it into my vortex. Step 2, it's your job to take care of the rest.
And we are so good at our job. You should see the steady attention that we have on what you want, and you should see the cooperative components that have come. There's enough in there to keep you happily, joyfully unfolding for 20 or 30 lifetimes. It's big, 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 awesome, awesome stuff in there.
And so when I'm in that receiving mode and I'm receiving, I'm getting these highs and I'm on this stream and I'm flowing. I'm like, oh my God, that was so good. Oh, wow, that was really good.
And is there any downside to that?
Is there? No.
Well, it felt like you were leading up to something.
Well, what it was so good, and I want to be better practicing the flow. That's it. I just want to continue practicing the flow, and
we give you permission to do
being
that.
happy. I understand that. I'm looking at being happy.
We can't convince you that you deserve being happy. You've got to show yourself that you can be, and then just be it in the next segment and be it in the next. Esther discovered that she could not just be happy, she could be joyful in her closet getting ready, and then she discovered that she could be joyful in her editing of the recording for the Twice Monthly, and then she discovered that she could be joyful in her gathering her clothing and taking it to the dry cleaners, and then she discovered that she could be joyful in putting fuel in the car and getting it gassed up. She discovered that there's not joyful things to do and not joyful things to do. There's just under the influence of joy, and therefore what I'm doing is joyful, or not under the influence of joy, and therefore what I'm doing sucks. There are people on vacation at the swimming pool fighting with each other.
The last person I got then, that's the part that I think I was missing. How to be joyful in that moment now, no matter what is coming to me. And that just lit up for me.
You just got to play with it until nothing else will do. You've just got to have enough joyful moments. One of the early things that would come up in gatherings like this, people would say, as we would encourage them to meditate and allow their vibration to rise, we would say the thing that you're most going to notice is your sensitivity to your alignment is going to be keener, which means when you're in alignment it's going to be sweet, but when you're not going to like it so much. It makes you more sensitive to what you're doing vibrationally. This sensitivity at first might be a little uncomfortable, but once you calibrate it, once you notice thought and feeling, thought and feeling, thought and feeling, and you get better at directing your thought, and what you discover that the better at directing the thought is not directing the thought, it's putting yourself in a position where you can receive the thought. It's a big distinction. Just decide that in this segment you're going to receive and that it's going to feel good, and stop thinking so hard. You know, when you think hard, sometimes after a gathering like this, you'll get together with friends who are here and who understand, and you just talk yourself into a hole. Just trying to figure it out. What'd you learn? Oh, I learned this and this and this. Well, just give it a rest. There are just a few things that you want to know. Do you accept that there is a vortex?
Yes.
Do you accept that your inner being is there
Yes.
and tending to it?
Yes.
And that everything that you want is all in the state of becoming?
Yes.
And that your work singularly is to tune into that?
Yes.
Well, then what's the big deal? What's the big deal, really?
Stop letting things outside of me influence.
And you know
how
why
I'm
you do that?
feeling.
Because you feel like you don't know this completely, but we do. You know it's there, you sense it's there, you sense it's coming, some of it's already coming, and there's a whole bunch of people in your life that haven't figured this out, and you're trying to factor how they feel about what you're doing into the equation. So then you're explaining it and justifying it and talking it to death and introducing so much resistance into your equation that you've got the whole thing all slowed down. When you open to this kind of energy, Esther and Jerry used to tease that they should put this on the disclaimer that you sign when you come in that says all the things that make this flow more easily. Oh, and by the way, you can't go back. You're going to tune in to who you really are, which means you're going to have to pay a little attention to staying up to speed with who you are, because you're not going to ever be able to stand not staying up to speed with who you are. Yeah. And so just be up to speed with who you are, and stop beating up on yourself and others, and stop needing the world to be different so that you can feel better, and stop needing your world to be different so that you can feel better. Just decide right now, under these conditions, I can feel good or not. That's all. Instead of saying, well, if these conditions were different, then I would feel better. That's how you introduce resistance to the equation. You can feel good. You can feel good. You can feel good. It's just a matter of directing your thought, and you're getting better and better at it. Now we're in the category of working too hard at this.
Yes, that's it. I've been working too hard at it, and I've been allowing the things outside of me, and like you said, what people
So
are
stop
saying.
right now and tell us the new intention.
My new intention is to be happy in this moment.
And how are you going to do that?
I'm going to be where I'm at, and I'm going to enjoy it.
And what does that mean?
That means wherever I go, and I'm going to segment intent. I'm going to make an intention of what I would like to do. I'm going to make a decision.
And what are you going to do when somebody who knows you walks into your experience and delivers a problem that they've delivered to you on many occasions and expects a certain response from you? What are you going to do? Are you going to give them that response, or are you going to understand something different?
Just let them talk. I don't want to be a part of it.
But you know what that right there depends on? It depends on how tuned in you were when they came.
Exactly.
You got to get out ahead of it, because if you didn't get out ahead of it, when they walk in, you're going to go right where you always go. But if you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, then they look different. They're just cute. They're just cute. They don't really understand, but they're just cute. It's like someone's learning to walk and they're not very good at it yet and they just fall down. You don't say, get up, you little dummy. You just let them find their balance. They're just cute. They're just cute. They're finding their balance and they're watching you walk. That's why they even want to walk, is because they're watching you. They watch you be happy. They watch you chill out. They watch good things come to you. They watch you be easy about things. They watch you laugh heartily. They watch you change. They watch you evolve. You don't let them hold you to the old standards that you used to be at. This is the thing that Esther's understanding. She's talking to Jerry about it all the time. Okay, Jerry, I'm going to think about this the way you're now thinking about it, and I'm not going to keep that rule that we promised we'd always keep, okay? You have to let yourself evolve. And where you're evolving to is joyful moment. And just because somebody's eating out of the dumpster doesn't mean that you shouldn't be happy about your new red car. This is a really good time for a segment of the session.